It's true that Japan has great public transportation, but have you ever thought about renting a car and seeing the country on a road trip instead? In this video, I want to talk about tips for driving in Japan, how to use toll roads, Japanese gas stations, driving rule differences, especially compared to the US, getting a temporary license for travel, and how I got my Japanese driver's license on my first try when we lived in Ishikawa. Okay, here we go. Japan is a beautiful country, and it's so fun to take in the different scenery and scenic landscapes at your own pace while on a road trip. Plus, the freedom that comes with having your own car makes it easy to see more out-of-the-way sights, get to hotels and ryokans conveniently, or be spontaneous in a way that isn't always possible when relying on train or bus schedules. If you've never been in the driver's seat in Japan, though, the driving differences between the US and Japan might seem intimidating. But don't worry. The most obvious difference when driving in Japan versus the US is that you'll be on the left side of the road. Because of that, the driver's seat is on the right side. The pedals are still in the same positions, with gas being on the right, but the turn signals and windshield wipers are reversed. That was the biggest thing for me to get used to. At first I kept accidentally turning on the windshield wipers when going to signal for a turn. There are a few other differences. For example, in Japan, you can't turn on a red light like you can in the US. Japan has a zero-tolerance policy on alcohol in driving, meaning you can't drive a vehicle, including a bike, after drinking any amount of alcohol. Also, you have to come to a full stop before crossing any railroad tracks, even when a stop sign isn't posted. Speaking of stop signs, those are red triangles in Japan. They say tomare, and they often will have stop written in English too. But they're the only red triangular sign, so they're easy to spot. Place names on signs will also be in English as well as in Japanese, so you don't have to worry too much about being able to read the location names on the expressways. JAF is the Japan Automobile Federation, and they have a lot of free resources online in English. I would recommend checking their site to get familiar with the traffic rules and road signs in Japan. We're driving to Tokushima! We're on Awaji Island, almost. Before renting a car in Japan, you'll need to make sure you can legally drive there. An International Driving Permit, or IDP, will allow you to drive for up to a year in Japan. After that, you'll have to get either your Japanese driver's license or leave the country for at least 3 months to reapply for an IDP. You have to get your IDP before leaving the US, since they aren't issued in Japan. But getting it is really simple. You'll apply for the permit through AAA, either by mail or at your nearest branch for just $20. But what if you're in Japan for more than a year? When we lived in Ishikawa Prefecture, I was able to get my Japanese driver's license, and I was so nervous about the process. I had a valid US license, which helped, but I would still need to take and pass the written and driving tests. I don't have time to get into all the steps that you take to get to the driver's test, but I'll link a really helpful guide in the description that explains step by step how to get your license without enrolling in a driving school. Before the test, I paid for a few hours of driving lesson practice, which helped me learn what the test evaluators are looking for. I then made an appointment at my prefecture's driver's license center for the actual tests. You can take the written portion of the test in English, but everything else will be in Japanese. The biggest difference is the driving test. It's on a closed course, and you have to memorize the route. They don't tell you the route until the day of the test, so when I arrived early, I started immediately trying to learn and memorize it. You're able to actually walk the driving course during the lunch break, so I walked the full route and practiced using my turn signaling, pointing, and doing the verbal checks. It felt silly, but it did help. A few specific things I had to remember were wearing closed-toed shoes for the test, checking under the car before getting in, making sure the test evaluator had his seatbelt on, saying all the checks out loud, and intentionally checking over my shoulder for a bike anytime I made a left turn. Above all, I just had to remember that the test was more like a driving ceremony than a test of my actual driving skills. They seemed to be more concerned about the appearance and memorization of procedures, and my ability to follow the course and know the rules, rather than my actual driving confidence. But I passed the test on the first try, and I was so proud and relieved to have my license. So we paid for a monthly rental from a local car company in Ishikawa. They took care of the maintenance and insurance, so it was convenient just paying a set fee and not worrying about that. If you're flying in for a visit, though, you can easily rent a car at any airport or most large train stations. For example, let's say you want to travel from the big city of Osaka out to the more rural island of Shikoku. Since car rental prices start at around $50 a day, You could rent the car for less than it would cost to get from Osaka Station to Takamatsu by public transportation. However, there is one hidden cost of driving in Japan that you have to be aware of, and that's toll roads. Tolls are far more common in Japan than they are in the US. While most roads in Japan are free, expressways, some scenic driving routes, and a few major tunnels charge tolls. Expressways are like the interstates of Japan. They're the most direct and fastest road options. Luckily, tolls are less expensive for compact K cars. That's short for keijidosha, meaning lightweight. They're also less expensive at different times of day, and in different regions of Japan. The tolls are definitely more expensive now that we're back down out of Aomori, but that's okay. Because of all these factors, it can be difficult to broadly estimate toll costs, but as of 2022, the average price per kilometer was about 25 yen. However, you can enter your route into an online toll calculator to predict these fees ahead of time. It's hot in Ibaraki, and we just pulled up the GPS for where we're staying tonight. It's 7.5 hours away, and it's going to cost 13,000 yen.
Yeah, but by comparison, one Shinkansen ticket to cover around that distance would also probably be 13,000 yen.
Yeah.
So and we have all of our stuff and 2 people.
It's still cheaper, but it's going to be an expensive drive today. So how do you pay these tolls? Most rental cars will come with an ETC card as well, which can save you some money and is convenient. ETC stands for Electronic Toll Collection, and is kind of like a credit card that's inserted into the car to automatically pay for the tolls as you pass through the gates, without having to stop. When you approach the toll gate, you'll get in the purple lane marked for ETC cards, slow down for the gate to open, and continue through. The toll will automatically be charged to the ETC card. If you don't have an ETC card, don't worry. You just go through the green lanes for cash or card and pay manually. Sometimes the lanes have both purple and green since they handle both methods of payment. There are entrance gates and exit gates anytime you get onto a toll road. If you're paying with cash or credit card, you'll go through the green entrance lane and get one of the tickets that the machine is holding out. This marks your entrance time and gate to the toll road, so you have to hold on to it to pay at the end. As a reminder, if you have an ETC card, you don't need one of these physical tickets since the payment is all automatic and electronic. When you're paying manually, though, at the end, you'll get that same paper ticket back out to pay at the exit gate. Get in there.
Well, yeah, but what are all these bells and everything like hanging off the boat?
Sometimes there are attendants at these gates to help you with the payment process. But if not, all you have to do is insert the paper ticket into the machine, look at the total amount due, and then insert your credit card or cash. Once you pay, the gate will open. It will give you your change and receipt, and you're on your way. The biggest thing that I had to learn the hard way was that the toll roads don't take debit cards, only cash or credit cards. So make sure you have one or both in case your credit card doesn't work. Getting gas in Japan also has some differences from getting gas in the US. Many gas stations are full service, where you just pull up and the attendants fill the gas tank for you. This took me by surprise at first, but it's very convenient. They'll also give you a rag to wipe down your dashboard. Sometimes in Japan, they pump your gas for you, and they come around and they give you this rag so you can wipe down the dash of your car. I don't really know why, but it's kind of nice.
Hand it to me next time. I'm just going to start wiping my face.
I know, I want to use it on my face.
So sweaty.
But you just kind of sit here while they pump your gas. And I've never been to a gas pump like this in America. I think they have them in the north, but I've never had somebody pump my gas in America for me. If you're pumping your own gas, you'll visit a self-serve station. There's often an English option for the menu like there was here, but if you're talking to an attendant, mantan is what you'll say to ask for a full tank. Regular gas is a borrowed word in Japanese, just spelled out as close to the English as possible using katakana symbols. So asking for regular gas is just regular, or look for the red handle pump. The word for cash is ginkin, or paying by card is easy since it's another borrowed word, kado. One thing to note about gas stations is that they're not all open 24 hours, especially in the countryside, so keep that in mind if you're driving in the evening or early morning. Of course, another reason for renting a car might be plans to ride bikes or ski in Japan, so you might be wondering what can fit. Well, we had no problem fitting 2 bikes and our luggage in the smallest K car, once we took the front wheels off. We did it. We fit them all in the back of the K-car. Using a towel or yoga mat between bike frames will keep things from getting scratched up. I've also seen people put skis inside cars and just slide them all the way up between the front seats. I'll end this video with a few fun facts about driving in Japan. Green lights are called blue lights in Japanese, or ao shingo, even though they're green. Speed limits in Japan tend to be lower than most countries. 80 kilometers per hour or 50 miles per hour on expressways, and 40 kilometers per hour or 25 miles per hour in the city are common limits. A white diamond indicates a crosswalk is coming up, and pedestrians have right-of-way. Also, always make sure to check for bikes. An omamori is an amulet or a good luck charm that you can get at a Shinto shrine or a Buddhist temple, and they have one specifically for traffic and road safety. You can blink your hazard lights a few times to say thank you to the driver behind you. And Michi no Eki, or roadside stations, are more than just a bathroom and a gas stop. They also have a variety of delicious food, souvenirs, collectible stamps, and you can learn more about that area's local products. Overall, Japan is such a fun country to take a road trip in, and that's exactly what we did during an August a couple of years ago. I made a whole video series about driving and biking through Japan on our road trip, and we visited nearly every prefecture. One day we need to go back to finally see Okinawa. I hope this video gives you some helpful tips for taking a road trip in Japan yourself. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.